I believe any business, for it to succeed, should be created to solve people's problems. Unfortunately, particularly because of all these lots of voices, people have a mentality that businesses must be established to make money, and as much money as you can. And then when you make the money, go out and shout about it and showcase about it. And that showcasing about it and people shouting about it, and people don't say the truth in most of the cases because they show as if there's a lot of money and what have you. And that creates a lot of pressure and discouragement and people feeling that they are disadvantaged. Yet at the end of the day, if you really look into it closely, it's just smoke for the majority of people.
Today, I'm seated here with Mr. Justin Machibaya, the CEO and founder of Homelux, which happens to be celebrating 25 years in business. He's been labeled a visionary and a strategist by many. Today, we discuss business, vision, leadership, strategy, and impact. Over to you, Dad.
Thank you, son. It's a great season to witness the 25 years of Homelux, and truly speaking, I can't even understand where those 25 years went to. But I suppose it's what happens when the work is intense and the focus is great and the support from the market is very strong, because it's basically what has resulted in the years that the Homelux has gone through. Our focus and culture is to work and continue pushing boundaries and introducing new things. So there's nothing impossible to do as long as we seek the paths and the ways to navigate. Zimbabwe is a nation of hardworking people. And it's a people that are fond of investing in real hard assets. So, yes, the environment is difficult. We are just part of the Zimbabwean clan that works very hard and continues to push boundaries. And yes, and I would urge any business person, and particularly the young, that this is the environment. Enjoy the environment, expand in the environment, extend yourself in the environment, and do the best mining in whatever you are doing in this environment. And you will succeed.
I like that.
Yeah.
So this environment definitely is discouraging to a lot of business people, young people, well-seasoned people. So for you to have been where you are right now, that's very impressive. And I would then just like to get a bit more detail from you, particularly on Homelux as a brand, you as a founder, and particularly how you've shaped real estate and property within Zimbabwe. Homelux is known to have been the pioneers of cluster housing, and now you've shifted from cluster to apartments and land developments. You've got Bridgepoint Estate, you've got Kinsley Estate, which cater to two different demographics. What's your vision with that, and why the move from cluster to apartments and to land developments?
Thank you very much. Good point. Good question there. Maybe to just backtrack a little bit. When things are difficult, voices become too many. Depending on who you listen to, the more the voices that one listens to, it's most likely that you are going to be more discouraged. So you can't be listening to every Jack and Jill, and especially now in the age of information, you find lots of people talking on YouTubes and all sorts of platforms. I think it's important to protect your mind and focus and vision, to actually ask yourself, what authority does this person carry to speak and say what they have to say? Because everything is said from a perspective, from experience, from an outlook. And you don't have to take much of it. So choose the voices to listen to very carefully. And that applies to young people, older people. This applies to business. It applies to friendships. It applies to marriages. It applies to governance. Anything, you talk about it. So in as far as the shaping of Homelux going forward from where it started to where it is now, I believe any business, for it to succeed, should be created to solve people's problems. Okay. Unfortunately, particularly because of all these lots of voices, people have a mentality that businesses must be established to make money, and as much money as you can. And then when you make the money, go out and shout about it and showcase about it. And that showcasing about it and people shouting about it, and people don't say the truth in most of the cases because they show as if there's a lot of money and what have you. And that creates a lot of pressure and discouragement and people feeling that they are disadvantaged. Yet at the end of the day, if you really look into it closely, it's just smoke for the majority of people. Because if you make money, if you are progressive in business and what you do, why do you want to shout about it? Where do you even get the time to shout about it? Where do you get the time to display it? So the key issue is we focus on the core. My approach has always been, what is the need in society right now that we need to address? And when I pushed the direction for cluster homes for the Homelux business, I remember when we did the first development, people actually laughed to say, but you can't be building this. We don't want to stay in compounds and the like. But there are a number of advantages that come with cluster housing, apartments, and that kind of stuff because it's densification. God created land once. It's a finishing resource. If we expand the land horizontally and we allow more and more houses to be freestanding on 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 square meters, if you project 50 years, 100 years, 500 years down the line, you can actually see that this generation would be creating a crisis for its children that will come after them. So, land being created once and never to be recreated again, we must use that resource wisely and sparingly. And how do we do that? We should gather together in smaller pieces of land, and where possible, as much as we can, let's go up. So cluster housing, highest and best use of land, smaller pieces of land, more people can be accommodated, security is shared, a lot of costs are shared. The next tier is to then educate people and getting people to understand the importance of living within community. What does it mean to live with others? Responsibility towards levies, responsibility towards security, responsibility towards creating a correct living environment that supports the rest of the community, the nation at large. Apartments, when I look at it now, the population has changed, demographics are changing, more and more younger people are getting into the market. And most of you guys are quite exposed to the global trends. And you really don't want to, the majority don't really want to stay in big properties. They want lock and go. Lock and go, good security. I don't have to worry about paying water bills, garden maintenance, and the like. My apartment is exclusively done, for example, the way you did, if I may quote yours and Justin's. I think you showed me and the market what another level of living within an apartment, for example, could be. And when we catch that up, it means that the next blocks of apartments, we should make them feel like hotels. You are going home, you are entering a complex, but it feels like you're actually entering a hotel complex. And that is what spoke, for example, to Harrow in Avondale. Every time I drive through it, that's the feeling that it gives me. And you can actually see the complexes that we are working on now. The feel is exactly the same. Now, when you talk about the gated communities like Kingsley, which is northern suburb, just after the Brook, Boredo Brook Estate. The second biggest project, proper gated community outside of the Boredo Brook in the country. Why? Because the Boredo Brook was done and founded by our prominent golfer, Nick Price. But he served it has served the nation very well. But it's time to emulate more and more developments like that. The average tent size in the Brook is 1,400 to 1,300 square meters. And people desired a little bit more in terms of land size. And there's a market for that. And we then created Kingsley Estate on 71 hectares, average tent size 2,000 square meters. Top security, you go in living with nature, that's improving people's lives. Walking tracks, exercising, convenience, shops and the like, correct lifestyle and correct balance sheet creation. And you can build things that you can pass on to the next generation. Bridgepoint, on the other hand, is the other side of town, Harare South, high density, gated community of almost its first kind. Self-sustaining in terms of water provision, power provision, solar-based, top security, school inside, shops inside. And it's a great joy to see young kids in the high density riding bicycles and not worry about being at risk, and kids playing in the roads and having their joy, and parents being comfortable. So it's really all about improving people's lives and showing the next generation what it is when we play at what is focusing on developing people.
I love that. So some key things which I took from there is don't focus on the money, focus on serving people, which is what I love. You focus on people, the money finds you. Be within your field, don't listen to the noise. Very good advice. So obviously you've mentioned that Kingsley Estate is for a different demographic. What kind of individual is targeted to stay in Kingsley Estate? How can they inquire to find out more about Kingsley Estate? And what vision do you want to achieve through Kingsley Estate? You mentioned that Nick Price founded Boredo Brook, and he started a good thing, and it's time to emulate more of those, but catering to the evolving market now.
Yes, realize, Matthew, that this country really has one golf estate, which is Boredo Brook. I'm sure you would believe with me that every city deserves to have that. Harare deserves to have a number of them. The market for Kingsley is top end. People that have built a certain level of wealth that can afford that living space, because a stand is 170,000 on average USD each before construction. And to make sure that there is a harmonized quality of living, 24, 25 or 26 different house plans choice to choose from, a coordinated drive towards finish, so that there is a similar feel in terms of a community. One could almost say my desire from a vision would have been to create a covenant community. You know, people that say, a community where we say, this is how we live and this is who we are. And this is what we are going to pass on to the next generation. You see, one of the things that we need to realize as a people is whatever you do, in whatever manner and fashion, is training ground for the next generation. So you are doing and building and training the next generation. So we have to be conscious, almost through and through, as to what exactly we are doing and what we perceive to be the end result in as far as it being seed to the next generations. So both Kingsley State and Bridgepoint, they bless my heart because I see people blessed. I can see families staying in. I can see marriages taking place. I can see kids being born. I can see wealth being changed from one generation to the next through inheritances and the like. That to me is meaningful.
I like that. I like that. And you touched on something very good about how everything that's done is training the next generation. So, given that Kingsley State is for one generation, but the goal is for the second generation to inherit whatever parents put into it, I believe that you're very close to achieving that. When I think of Kingsley State personally, I think of Steyn City within South Africa, that kind of community. Is that something that was of inspiration when you're doing Kingsley State?
Yes, lots of inspirational. I'm well traveled. And when I travel, I pay attention to what others are doing. There are times where it may not be necessary to spend too much time thinking as to what to do, because you can just see what others have done that you haven't done, the revelation that others have received that we haven't received, and just go on and implement alongside what they are doing. So, and thanks for quoting Steyn City. You can actually see that it's another level of living. Steyn City is a mini economy that's been built because you have got the complete mixed use development. You've got your residential, you've got your commercial, you've got your hotels, you've got your schools and everything. So you can go in and not come out and have everything functionally taking place there. So when I look at that, I'm saying to myself, okay, given where we are as a business, as a nation, what can we do to emulate some of those at the levels relevant and practical to where we are at now? So you find Bridgepoint, though located in the high density place, to a very significant extent, some of the concepts are actually borrowed out of those kind of developments, like the Steyn cities and the like. Yeah. But not bad. And this issue about generational, you see, right now we are driving on roads and sending our kids to school and going into hospitals that were built by generations that now is generally in their 70s to 90s. Okay. And every time I come across that kind of a generation, I look at them and you realize that these are very, very significant people. Because we are what we are through what they have done and sacrificed. Okay. You ask yourself a question: what am I doing today to at least one, appreciate those very same people that did what they did? What am I doing today to ensure that what they did is preserved and further expanded? And what am I doing today for the generation behind me? Yourselves, your children, our grandkids, and the third, fourth, fifth generation past. What are we really doing? If we adopt that mindset in what we do, holistically as a people, as a nation, I think we would be able to find ourselves relating to each other very easily, because we are basically doing the same thing and seeking the same goal. We will find ourselves honoring our elders very differently, respecting our peers deeply, and protecting the generations younger with everything that's in us, because that's the future. Yeah. Without a well-taught, groomed generation, we are going nowhere. Any nation is as strong as its families. And its family is as strong as its values. And the values is what we should then make us common, because we are then seeking the same agenda. Yeah. So you then realize that when you look at it, really business is not about money. Business is about people. Yeah. The customer for every business is actually people. Money is a byproduct that cometh through meeting the needs of people in a professional way, in a most cost-effective way, in an excellent way, in a manner that the market pays and you enjoy it. So that's my perspective. And that's how I choose to look generally at every person, at every customer.
I love that. I think you've just shared the secret to succeeding in business. And I hope everyone or anyone that's listening to this really pays particular attention to what you said. Particularly, I find the young generation focusing on wanting to make money. And you mentioned earlier, because of social media, people flaunt money and they show money, and it's created this kind of pressure that if they see someone who's in their 30s making money, they feel, why is my life not succeeding like this? So I think it's very important that people focus rather on serving people, and the money will find them. But most importantly, when you serve people, to serve a need within the market, because that's the most important. So I hope everyone pays particular attention to what you mentioned about the secret to succeeding in business. You've been known to pouring and impacting young people and investing in young people. Why is that so important to you?
Yeah, very important. That one, it's very important. Because for any generation to consider itself successful, I personally believe it must look at how it has impacted and built the generation behind it. Yeah. There's no success that I can talk about at a personal level without building capacity in the younger people. And it's a model that God uses to build. Maybe I could just say this very briefly. God builds largely in three ways. Generationally, from one generation to the other. That's why the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, and it goes down. Yeah. The God of Anisto, Tichava Machibaya, my father, the God of Justin, the God of Justin Jr., the God of Matthew, and the line goes down. It's important because any generation must pass on its secret to succeeding to the next generation. And the next generation works and perfects on it. I look, for example, at Homelux today, the changes that has happened through young people, because generally Homelux is run by most people are under 40, if not 35. Yeah. The oldest people is myself, 2, 3 directors. We are over 50. I think 4 or 5 of us are over 50. The rest are under 40. And I'm very strategic with that kind of a trust, because you want to build the energy, you want to build the revelation, which is then the next level of God building, generationally, revelationally. The secret things given belong to us and our children, that will fulfill the covenant, the Bible says. Yeah. So revelation is very important. And revelation sometimes is is age-based. There are certain things that I can say to you, yes, and I can try and explain to you, but I know you may not be able to understand it until the revelation cometh on you. Yeah? Then he builds relationally, through relationships, one to another. There is nothing that God will do outside of a relationship. And one of my spiritual mentors, Pastor Tom Duchel, emphasizes that through and through. Life is about relationships. Keep relationships, maintain relationships, nurture relationships. So when you look at younger generation, all the three God's building models are very strong in it. Generationally, one to another. You see further by standing on my shoulders. I see further by standing on the shoulders of those that are ahead. And you can actually see that the tree becomes taller and taller and taller. Okay? And as we do that, we relate, because we can't be building generationally and we are not working on our relationships. We are grinding each other. We are getting better and better. And the revelation is shared. What understanding you have of today, given the age, technology age that I may not have, that this generation may not have, the generation ahead may not have. You guys have it. And you can comfortably say, no, we are going to go this way. And for me, one classical example is when you guys finished university, both you and your brother did architecture, as you know, the changes that you made changed the product. And with the change of product, the quality improved. The quality of life that we are offering through these products to people is definitely another level. Revelation that you inherited from school. Experience of the generation before this younger generation is what the younger generation should draw off. And the older generation should be intentional to actually pass down the secrets that they know through the experiences that they have. So that as you inherit the experiences, it shortens your learning curve. Because you are now relying and you can actually see, oh, okay, this is how to do it. Okay, this is how to look for a site. And this is how to assess the financial viability of it. Okay, this is how to understand people. This is how to listen to people. Okay, this is the meaning of business, and this is how I need to do business. Yeah.
I love that. God builds generationally, relationally. The third thing you didn't mention. Revelationally. Okay. Yes. I love all those three. You've strategically involved myself and my other brother, Justin, in the family business. And I've heard a number of your peers applaud you for having done so in a way where they've also got their kids and they've been wanting to get their kids involved within their businesses. How did you strategically go about that? And what was your intention and rationale behind doing that?
Okay. Good point there, Matthew. You see, there is a principle in the Jewish culture that Pastor Tom Duchel taught: protecting the root. Mm-hmm. Okay? So the root is what God has given you to do. One could probably say is the area of your anointing or gifting or specialization. As much as possible, I believe it is important that whatever you have been gifted to do, you should protect it and pass it on to the next generation. Otherwise, each generation is going to be starting afresh, and there is very little that will be transferred. Yeah, because building takes time, and building is expensive. Building anything meaningful takes time, and it's expensive. Mm-hmm. So if you protect the root through what you have given it, like in my case, real estate is the field that God gave, is the mind that God gave me and us, I believe. Now, I can only live as long as the Lord allows me to. But at some point, I'm going to disappear. I'm going to die. Now, the intention is this route ought to be protected and ought to be expanded. Now, if I'm in real estate and this is the business that we have and this is what has sent us to school, send kids to school, it means the kids should make a contribution to this fiscus and protect this field. Hence, conversations about what to study and where to study. It was very strategic for us to have an architect in the family, so that we are in touch with trends and we do our own designs and we improve our scope, and turnaround is fast. And I can see it. It definitely was one of the best things to do. You did marketing, digital marketing, procurement, and your eyes are on the processes of marketing and procurement and the rest. And those are the roots that protect the business. And you guys playing and working in the business makes it easy for me to exit. And as I exit, you are protected by the team that has the experience within the Homelux, and you can see and take the business to the next level. You can protect the route, you can protect the balance sheet. You then expand the business in the direction and case that you see. And there are typical examples of business like that. One of the things that I noticed on my first trip to Israel is there was a grocery business, and I realized after asking that it's 400 years. And the generation that was running it was like the 7th generation. And I'm saying, wow, what protection of root. So you don't have to carry the pressure of sending kids to university and they don't find jobs. Now we are talking of a business, but I would want to expand it to beyond just a business. It's anything that you know and anything that you do. Like in our case, industry-wise, you know, artisans, builders, plumbers, tilers, electricians, and the like. The country is very short of those. And I remember many years ago, I gathered all artisans that were working for us, and I said, I'm giving you 5 to 8 years. Each must train their sons and daughters into what they are doing. And just look at the tradesmen that we are using today. They are all sons and daughters of the very original tradesmen that we started off with. And it's a great joy for me to find those sons and daughters working with you guys, and it's a next whole generation that's getting into business. And I'm a fond of sending children to study things that are practical, more and more as opposed to theoretical. Because protecting the root has a lot to do with the work of your hands, practical, practice. Yeah? Farmers are farmers. Tailors are tailors. Medical people are medical people. Realtors are realtors. For example. So I think it would make it a lot easier for any family to protect their trade and perfect their trade and expand their trade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Very insightful, and you threw in a lot of very good wisdom there. I know there must be quite a number of parents that want to find a way to involve their kids in the family business, but they could be struggling, or even other kids who don't want to get involved within family business. But given that you say that you need to protect the root and starting anything takes time and learning, would you have any kind of advice for anyone listening that would want to get their children involved in whatever family business you're doing and how they can strategically do so?
Thanks, son. Very good question. Um, I would say if the family has a business, the kids should get involved in the business and get your kids involved early. I remember you particularly when when you were grade 7, Form 1, and Saturday, I would wake you guys up at 6:37, let's go. And I did that intentionally. And we were together but not talking, and I knew. But I knew it in the sense that the revelation with time will come. Today, they don't see it. They want to sleep. They want to play games. They want to have fun with their friends. But this is not the time. There's a time to play and there's a time to work. When you are young, expend yourself to work. Stretch yourself. Invest the hours. Try and achieve as quickly as possible your 10,000 hours, because the moment you achieve 10,000 doing something, you become efficient and it almost becomes automatic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So aim to your 10,000 hours. It's important to sit down and actually strategize. There is no replacement for a vision. Sitting down and say, where are we going? Who are we? And what are our value system as a people, as a family, and what do we want to achieve? Yeah. That is what should speak to what people do. A family may not have a business, but to any young people, my age is please look for something most practical to do that machines may not be able to do, because that way you are really protecting yourself. So a tradesman is more secure and you can save someone every day and you can have food on the table. So it's just not a question of business and establishing family business, but it's really a question initial of livelihood. You want to be able to put food on the table, first for yourself. And when you are able to take care of yourself, you can then take care of your brother and the sister, you can take care of your parents, you can take care of community, you can put seeds into the orphanage, support orphans, widows, the sick, and those in prisons and the rest. Yeah. So it's very important that we carry that mindset. I think our education system has had one very significant problem. We need to realize that the Group B education system was literally geared to generate and produce managerial staff that could work for companies, that at the point of retirement, those people will then be retired and they go Kumusha, raw areas and retire. Okay. Now, there was no concept of passing on to the next generation. Okay. It was a system geared to build the capacity of a nation for that period. But long term, not the ideal. Okay. So each person, each family, it needs to look and say, okay, who are we? Like right now, I find lots and lots of universities, degrees being churned out, first class, second class, but absolutely no practical skill at all. Technical colleges used to produce artisans, diesel mechanics. You talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened to that? If there's anything, I think young people should really look and say, hey, I'm going into agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to train to be a plumber. I'm going to train as a painter. I'm going to train as this because I am going to pass to establish an excellent plumbing business, painting business, electrical business. I believe this for a long time shall remain very necessary and hand-driven. as opposed to machine-driven. People shall forever want to eat. So agriculture, scope is clear. Yeah. Some jobs, yes, you may be gifted very technically. It's a season. But I believe as you make the money, drive the money toward hardcore investment assets. Yeah, where you can then say, I'm making my money here, but my children, this is what we are building. Because you may not have this technical mind that I have, but I need you to be able to run with this route that we shall call our family route. But we are making money elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful. So you mentioned strategize as a family, come up with a vision that can even apply to even individuals as well. Evidently, you've emphasized quite a lot on strategy and vision, and it speaks to what people have labeled you to. Would you say that you've got a vision for the next 5 years, whether it's by 2030, vision for 10 years, 50 years for Homelux, and how you want to serve the nation, particularly within the housing sector?
Yes, yeah. I actually believe as a people where we are now, 5 years is a very short-term plan. Okay. 10 years is okay. But 20 years, 50 years, 100 years is most material. 5 years, 10 years, I see Homelux coming up with products that are completely amazing, that serve all sectors of the economy and all groups. Currently, we are working on a very unique retirement product for the retired people. Resort combined with retirement, combined with agriculture. Yeah, because that's who we are. That's what our elders know very well, and that's what they want to spend time doing. I see you guys coming up with mixed use developments that have not been seen. And I don't want to speak this as futuristic because they are right. There are things that you guys are working on right now that are going to be manifesting shortly. I believe from a visionary 20 years beyond, we need to influence Southern Africa and all countries that still need this level of development. Yeah, you know how we are looking at a country in South America and the need for us to go and reform that nation with what we know, because they desperately need that. Because whatever we have here, they don't have it. And yes, it's 20 hours of flight, but that's the cost of reformation and transformation. Yes. So that really is what I see. And as far as the longer term vision, there's a statement that wiser people plant trees under whose shade they will never sit. Remember, generationally? Yeah. You have to plant a tree under whose shade I will not sit because I'll be gone. But as you sit under the shade, you are going to be talking about the history and the origin of that tree. And the name shall be mentioned. Yeah. So we need to extend ourselves to really think long term. Yeah. So 5 years, 10 years, I think that's at hand. It becomes an operational period more than a strategic period. Yeah. We need to spend time in strategy, trying to visualize and see what we think we don't even have an understanding what 50 years looks like. And we craft and say, this is the way things ought to go. And I would urge all young people, you yourselves included, to say, hey, there's no time to play, man. Spend time thinking. Yeah, there is nothing that shall withstand the continuous assault of sustained thinking. When we went to 95% share market in Chicago with Pastor Tom, that was one of the most significant statements that I came across. Because two guys were in a prison cell that was meant for them never to escape because they were notorious. But they escaped because they spent time thinking until they came up with a solution. So if there's anything that God has given each person, the human mind is thoroughly powerful. Thoroughly powerful. If you separate yourself to take time to think, there is nothing that shall withstand your sustained level of thinking. Nothing. Yeah. So when you think like that, you then realize that, hey, there is no time and scope to listen to too many voices. Choose your mentors right. Follow them. Follow their instructions. Receive revelation. Now, with the technology information age, there's a lot of great material that one can learn from and improve themselves daily.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, the voices are multiplying by the millions daily. Yeah. A lot of people, young people particularly, in our country, spend a lot of time on social media for non-productive means. Unless people realize that a lot is being stolen off them, because you can't recover time. Okay. We all have 24 hours in a day. Once that day is gone, is the next day coming. We can talk of redeeming time. That's something else. But we must utilize time daily, effectively, to establish foundations that serve this current generation and the generations behind. And when you think about it very carefully, there's really not much time to waste, yeah? Yeah. There's really not much time to waste. You'll never die working hard, working smart, working relationally, working cooperatively, pulling resources together. You'll never die by studying and improving systems. You'll never die by thinking strategically. No, you don't. So you just need to know how to play smart. You work smart, you play smart, you eat smart, you look after your body. You have got one body. Okay. It's important to understand that is the best engine that you have for production. So feed it right, exercise it right, nourish it right, dress it right, make it look well for production. Yeah.
Very powerful, very wise counsel. So in closing, Homelux has been known to have an exciting portfolio of projects in Highlands, in Avondale. You've got Sloan Upmarket Apartments coming up in Highlands, just to name a few. Ascot Apartments in Avondale. And you mentioned earlier assets, securing assets. How do those projects and that product make it the right asset for someone to want to invest? And if someone wanted to invest and inquire more on these products, how could they do so?
Very interesting. When it comes to real estate investment, I always say, look, think property, think retirement. Think property, think retirement. Think retirement, think property. Because you want assets that work for you while you are sleeping. Or you want assets that work for you when you are in hospital. You want assets that work for you when you are traveling. You want assets that work for you when you are incapacitated. And real estate is one such because of its nature. It doesn't go anywhere. Performance may be up and down, but it will always pick up. Very basic principle. God created land once. The population increases daily. And as the population increases daily, guess what? The rate per square meter is pushed up. And that's part of the reason why real estate continuously goes up. Because it continues to suffer the pressure of population. And that increase in population is what increases its demand. So start small when he's talking about investing. You may not have all the money to buy a stand and build, but surely you can start putting together building materials. Do you know how much an airvan costs? 50 cents. So you can actually put $5 and buy airvans. Next month you buy a door frame, a window frame. Before you know it, in 2 years, you actually could have gathered almost all materials to build a house. The moment it's like that, the principle of sustained thinking, you will find a stand. And when you find a stand, in 6 months you've built and you move in. So it's important to understand the principle of starting small and building going up, block upon block, precept upon precept. Some may be able to go in straight and buy straight and the like. Yes, it's okay. But part of that is the reasons why you then find there are lots of huge houses incomplete or complete. But do you necessarily have to spend that amount of capital in a very expensive house without cash flow? Because life is not lived at balance sheet. Life is lived at cash flow. So I would rather have a modest house, but receiving good cash flow per month from rentals. Yeah. From if it's in the tourism industry, it could be a lodge, it could be a hotel, it could be a guest house or that kind of a thing. It could be an industrial property, it could be a commercial property, it could be anything. But I'm collecting rental. I would rather focus on good living space, choice food in my house, modest living, and receiving $20,000 a month, 5,000, 2,000. I'm able to respond to emergencies. I'm able to pay medical bills and medical aids. I'm able to travel. So it's very important to prioritize and to actually come up with your investment strategy. What do you see? It's very interesting when I ask a lot of people, tell me, what's your strategy? What's your vision in 2 years? Okay. What are your goals in 2 years? One is to think 5 years. One is to think 10, nothing. One of my professors, when I did my master's in real estate in Pretoria, said something very profound. We overestimate what we can do in a day. Things to do, 20. We underestimate terribly what we can do in 5 years. What is the vision in 5 years? 0. Yet the vision long term is what should be driving operational activities and strategies today. So start small, start in the high density, start with an apartment, bachelor, progress and go up the ladder of investments. And try and create a mixed portfolio as you then go up. Okay, international stocks. I don't know about cryptocurrencies, but there are certain people that play in it and they do well. That's a space that one can navigate. For me, it's real estate. Yeah. And it has never disappointed me. So I'm in love with it.
Like that. And it shows that given that you're celebrating 25 years in business, congratulations again.
Thank you, sir.
It shows that you're well seasoned, well knowledgeable within your space, and you've got a very exciting portfolio, as you mentioned earlier, one that caters to the retiring people, that's exciting and that's coming up. Kinsley, Bridgepoint, Ascot, Sloan, Harrow, to name a few. All these could be used for Airbnb, 1 beds, 2 beds, 3 beds. I think Zimbabwe at large is going to be excited to see what Homelux is going to be doing in the next couple of years, the current products, and I believe your vision is going to manifest. And I hope that a lot of people have learned a lot from this podcast. They've taken a lot of wisdom from what you've shared, very good information and insightful. Thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you whenever we do get an opportunity again.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate and forward with working. And may we manifest the kingdom.
Forward with that.
Thank you.